D-Bro in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. Laura Styles, Rosenberg, Dana White, UFC on the show. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I mean, listen, I'm great. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's our first time meeting. I was telling Dana before the interview that, I don't get to see all the UFCs, but I used to watch when there weren't really rules.
It wasn't the early days.
He was explaining to me which fight it was. I was telling him the fight. It was this little white dude and this big fat dude was fighting. And the little white dude was fucking this huge fat dude
I remember
up.
this fight too.
And he was hitting him with his broken hand, like while he was on top. His hand was just busted.
Do you remember this fight?
Keith Hackney and Emmanuel Yarbrough.
What year is
Yarbrough,
this?
yes.
God, it had to be 93.
Sheesh.
The beginning, the way beginning.
And this was UFC at this time. It was definitely UFC. But it was how early in the creation of the whole thing for you?
Yeah, it was the beginning. It wasn't for what we weren't involved in it yet. And I remember at that time I was living in Boston, and you guys were probably the same as me. There was this buzz about there's going to be this fight with no rules, no judges, no time limits, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to go down. It's impossible for this to happen, and it happened, and it changed the world. I mean, that first fight, that first UFC fight. Since then, martial arts has evolved more in the last, just since we bought the sport. I mean, in the last 15 years than it has in the last 2,000 years. I mean, there was always, people always wondered what would happen if a style fought another, if a boxer fought a wrestler, if a karate guy fought a kung fu guy, and it was always just speculation until the first UFC.
Well, and it also, too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but being mixed martial arts was kind of frowned on. Like, if you had a discipline, that was your discipline. There were people who had multiple disciplines.
Right.
But having a mixed discipline, it was
bad.
like, well, then you're not good at anything. You're
Right.
Well, mixing them was bad. Listen, the original martial arts were created to make money.
Right.
I mean, so karate would always say their style was the best, and kung fu, their style was the best, and the list goes on and on. And really, the father of mixed martial arts was Bruce Lee, who used to say, no one style is the best. You need to have a little piece of everything.
And he was frowned on for that.
Yeah, big time. And so it was never really proven until the first martial arts. And the reality is mixed martial arts is the best style. You have to have a little piece of everything. And that's when the sport was really born. People, when Gracie was going in there and submitting everybody, people realized they needed to learn some jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah. And then he needed to learn some stand-up, and everybody needs some wrestling. So it was, like I said, martial arts has evolved more since 1993 than it has in 2,000 years.
What year did you come in?
I came in 2001.
So it was already, what number was it up to?
30. Our first UFC was UFC 30.
And because it's so funny because, I watched the first one, and it was so exciting at the time, but then quickly you realized the rules set up, the way things were, the matches were horrible. You ended up having a lot of bad matches.
Well, what happened is that when everybody came out with their one style, it was awesome. I mean, it was crazy exciting, like Hackney and Yarbrough, no weight classes, everything else, the fights were nuts. Then when everybody started to learn a little ground and, you got these stalemates, now there's no time limits. So you're watching these two guys lay on the ground for 40 minutes, right? With absolutely no action whatsoever. And it just, when you start getting up to UFC 7, 8, 9, just started to plunge.
Got it. When did you guys implement, because I specifically remember there was a transition there because you could keep a guy on the ground for, like you said, no time limits. Now, for entertainment value, you guys have said, listen, once you get to a stalemate on the ground, you make them stand up, reset again. When did you guys? That's fairly recent.
Yeah, that's what we really pushed is when we bought the company in 2001, is we started to go into all the state athletic commissions to sanction the sport, and we had a lot of guys who were involved in creating the rules, so that it would be. You'd have 5-minute rounds for a title fight, 3 5-minute rounds for a regular fight, and to keep the action going and keep it fast paced.
Now, speaking of fast paced, I got to throw a bunch of things at this guy while I have him here because there's so much.
We didn't think we would get an opportunity with you because UFC's been lovely to our program and our radio
But
station.
this is the man right here.
We didn't know we would get here.
Well, no, listen, of course they're here because in November, all the big announcements are going down this week for the first time ever. UFC, Madison Square Garden. It's going to be a huge, huge deal. I know over the weekend you added Miesha Tate to the card as well.
Yep.
It's going to be a pretty stacked day.
Miesha Tate and Raquel Pennington, who has had 4 straight wins. It's going to be a fun fight.
But there's so much has been going on with UFC recently. First of all, when we had him on the K show, I mean, talk about a guy who's a businessman and a straight liar, a straight worker. We asked him, we're like, is anyone gonna buy the UFC? He was like, oh, the numbers they're throwing out are laughable. It was the number you got. That was the number that you got.
It made him laugh with joy.
Oh, yes.
That was what he was laughing about.
When you told us that, were you working us or were you really that surprised when the numbers came in the way they did?
I was telling him before you guys walked in, multiple people have taken runs at us over the last, 15 years. The first offer we ever got was for $1.3 billion, which was back in like 2009. And we weren't ready to sell the UFC, and it's just another day for me. It's just another offer. It was just another, and there were a bunch of people in the bidding. There were actually people who bid more than what we sold for. But we wanted to sell to the right people. We wanted to sell to somebody who could help take the sport to the next level, not just an investment. And that's why we went with Ari Emanuel and WME.
And it sounds like also what you're saying is somebody that.
But I didn't think it was gonna. We're working. We're doing our thing. We got the Conor Diaz fight coming up, and we just got done with UFC 200. And I don't think I really. I was just telling him, man, I was a mess when we sold this thing. I literally went up into a hotel room in Vegas, and Howard Hughes myself up there for like 2 days. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep, and I just kept like watching. Because this thing was all over the TV. It was the biggest sports deal in the history of sports.
Wow.
So it was everywhere, and it bugged me out a little bit.
But you kept control. I mean, you're in a position. Can you be fired? Could they technically at some point say, "Screw Dana White, you're done"?
I don't know what I'd have to do to get fired. Really have to. I don't know.
But it's one of those corporate situations that I'm sure for, like, if you started going stark, mad, crazy and running the business into the ground, I'm sure they could vote him off.
Definitely.
They protect their investment.
So is that the hard part, though, knowing that there were other people there who had this much control of your baby?
No, not at all. I actually work really well with these guys. Ari has been our agent for 12 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have a real good working relationship with Ari. It was my partners, the Fertittas. We've been together for 20 years.
Wow.
So, that was tough for me. Lorenzo and I saw each other every day for 20 years. And
so it's a huge change.
Yeah, and the three of us built this sport, built this brand, and it got me. It got me in a way that I never thought would happen to me. But
and when you say "got," you're talking about emotions now.
Yeah,
you're talking about you gave your life to something that you didn't really see all the way down the road. You just knew you believed in something. You're going for it. These are your partners in business. You're grinding. You're going.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get to this moment in life where you're making a life-changing decision and you're overwhelmed with emotion in a hotel room in Vegas. How many bottles of vodka? Like, what
it wasn't that bad. No. I didn't eat or sleep or anything. I was really messed up. And the money part gets you too. You'd be surprised.
But like, what do you mean? Like seeing that amount of money? Like,
well, your money is all over the friggin' TV. Every time I turned on the TV, they were talking about how much money I had and how much money I was getting. And a lot of people knew my deal moving forward. It's a little weird, when that happens. It's funny because you remember the story of what's his name, the comedian from Comedy Central?
Yeah, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle had the Chappelle Show.
$50 million, and he panicked on it. He was like, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Took off, went to like South Africa and
changed him forever. I mean, he's making a little comeback now, but it's changed him.
Yeah, but in that is what you're speaking to.
I'm telling you.
Which is doing a deal with someone that doesn't respect the essence of something that you believe in, right?
I don't know if it's so much that as it is the money. You'd be surprised because your whole life, and when you hear stories like that where you're like, this guy, like Chappelle bugging out. What's he bugging out?
Yeah,
over
he got money.
million. I'm telling you, man, it's a weird thing. And when it's all over the TV and in the newspapers, and
well, people knew you were rich before, right?
No,
But
well,
it's different when it's like confirmed. You have to
Right.
have an obscene amount of money,
Right.
No matter how shitty the deal was for Dana, we know he made a lot of money. That is a weird. That's got to be an off-putting feeling.
it's hard to explain to people. You have to go through it to really understand it. That's why I have so much respect for these guys in sports. Their numbers are everywhere, man.
Everywhere.
And every night they got to go into an arena and stand
And
in front of
perform.
all the fans and
And I can imagine how that affects your family too and your
Oh.
loved ones. Everybody has to deal with that.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
How much do people, when you're at your level, right? Like, we know what it's like. Okay, for example, Ibra runs Summer Jam, which is the biggest rap concert in the world. It's 1 day a year, really annoying, a lot of build-up, a lot of people to handle, a lot of ticket requests. You're the Don of all Dons. How much do like the people in your lives and the people in their lives expect hookups on everything? Some things that sometimes it's not about money. You just can't accommodate it because you can't.
Did you
Yeah.
have to shit on my accolades to bring him up? Like, did you have to compare my bullshit like this? Like that happened?
But it's true when you think about it, man. You know, you're in the ticket business.
No,
when
no,
you do
I'm
that
trying to
thing.
clean it up.
It's a nightmare.
It is nowhere near what you're dealing with every weekend, every
Yeah, you got to do it. You're dealing with it. I mean, once a month for the big ones.
So with the tickets, tickets are the worst part of this job. By far the worst part of this job. Everybody wants tickets, and everybody complains about the tickets, right? It's like no matter where you put somebody, they don't like their tickets. That's always a tough one. And yeah, I mean, it's to be expected, when whether it's personal or with the business, when you got it, I think that you're obligated to help other people. The hit ups I get on money and donations and things like that, it's overwhelming.
Oh, yeah,
sometimes.
donations. Don't even think about that, because if you have any friend who has a cause,
Oh yeah.
and they're related to Dana in some way, it's like, well, you're friends with Dana Wright, right? Like, he's got to be good for at least.
Everybody
10
has a
grand.
cause, man. Everybody has a cause.
And that said, I'm sure you need lots of write-offs, so that can always help out to some degree. Are we gonna? What's up with Ronda, man? I know you get asked this all the time, but it is starting to feel. My current thought is that she's been hedging her bets a little bit, because the longer that she stays out, the more it keeps her full. You don't risk the aura anymore, because we all know there is a risk at this point. When she goes in the next time, if it goes badly again, she won't be thought of quite the same way. The invincibility will be gone, and that can affect other money and different things. Is that what you see happening with her? Is there anything weird going on? Like, we thought she would have been back by now.
No, the truth with Ronda is this: Ronda Rousey worked her ass off for 4 years, man. She worked hard. She all the time she fought, all the PR that she did for us, and more importantly, the training. The training takes a lot out of you. And after the loss, she said, "I need a break. I need time off." And the minute anybody says that in this business, and I say it all the time, this ain't baseball, man. I got baseball players who go out and drink and party and go play baseball the next day. You don't do that in this sport, man. Your head has to be in this game 24/7, and you got to be a killer. And the minute you think you need a break, you definitely need a break.
Well, in a knockout like that, right? Ronda didn't blink at anybody. You get somebody knocks you out unexpectedly, that cracks your ego
Oh yeah,
irreparably sometimes. Like, sometimes people don't come back from that.
it's true.
And it's not the same. Now she's gun shy a little bit. Now
It's
she,
all. I mean, that's what everyone will wonder about. Is she the biggest star you've ever had?
By far, not even close. By far, the biggest star ever.
Yeah, I wrote a piece for Grantland maybe 6 months before the loss about that. I was like, she is the first UFC megastar. And of course, all the hardcore heads will come at you and say, what about? And I'm like, guys, those are not people your mom has heard of.
Yeah.
Right. Anderson Silva and Ronda Rousey, different.
It's different. They're different things altogether. I mean, going
Sure.
back all the way, there have been big stars all along, all the way back to Hoist Gracie, but Ronda's a different animal.
Ronda, I'm glad you guys said Anderson Silva. Ronda Rousey, such a big star that when you go down to Brazil, I don't know if you guys have ever watched any of the fights we do from Brazil, they don't care who you are. They want the Brazilian to whoop your ass, right? When Ronda went down there, they cheered for Ronda over the Brazilian.
Wow, that's true. I remember that lady, yes.
Never seen that before in my life, and we'll probably never see it again. That's how big
I called
Ronda
her that
Rousey
lady.
is.
Not to disrespect the Brazilian fighter. What was
Her name was Betch.
Yes.
Betch Correia.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd ever, In your mind, is there any chance that like Cyborg and Ronda as a thing could still happen?
Ronda wants to fight Cyborg, 100%.
Really?
Yes, she absolutely does.
But she needs to get some. Does she feel that she needs to do work first before that has to happen?
She wants to get her title back, you know, and
she wants to stop this title merry-go-round.
Amanda. I mean, if you look at the fight that she had with Miesha Tate, she broke Miesha Tate's nose bad.
Bad. That was a scary. That wasn't even fun to watch. I hated it.
She's tough.
Can you articulate? We talk about women in sports a lot on the program, right? And you know how, we wish more women went out to watch women in sports, whether it was WNBA or any women's sports. And sometimes that's what women athletics needs is the women to go out and support.
Right.
Men sometimes can be standoffish, like I'm going to watch the girls play, and be a little chauvinist about it. But can you talk about what having women fight in the UFC has done for the overall sport for you?
Huge. Ronda Rousey changed everything with my business.
Did you know
certainly.
that was going to happen? Could you see that?
I believed. Listen, everybody heard the famous TMZ words from me. When will women fight in the UFC? I said never. And then I met Ronda Rousey, and we sat down and we talked. And 15 minutes into a 45-minute conversation, I was like, holy shit, I think I'm going to do this. I think she's the one. I think she can, And then I went out and I made her the main event down in Anaheim, California for an event that we did over Dan Henderson and Lyoto Machida, and people went crazy.
Well, because Dan Henderson's an OG.
Yeah.
Machida's amazing, right? That was a
People
big
like,
fight in
you're gonna
itself.
put women above these legends, and this is a disgrace. This is, and that's when it really opened my eyes to, wow, when you always talk about, women not getting equal pay, women not getting equal rights, women not getting, that was when I was like, holy shit, I didn't expect this, but fuck them.
And was it the pushback you didn't expect? You didn't expect that amount of talk about it?
Yeah, I didn't expect that kind of negativity.
Wow.
So it was really a huge monumental moment for sports and obviously for women. So when that fight happened, it was a massive success. The gate was awesome. The pay-per-view did really well, headlined by two women. And I was like, man, I never thought I'd see the day.
So taking you back to that quote of when asked if women will ever fight in the UFC, you saying never. Why never then? Like, what was it in you that was like,
yeah, that's
that
a good
wouldn't
question.
happen?
Right. So what you got to picture is, at that time, I'm trying to sell men. And people are like, oh, God, this is brutal, this is that, and everything else.
Right.
And there's absolutely a chauvinistic side to that, too, because I went to a fight one time up in Northern California, okay? And these two women fought. And this is way before anybody even thought about women fighting in mixed martial arts. It was early on. And one girl, beautiful girl, looked like she took about 4 Taibo classes. The other girl looked just like Randy Couture and fought just like Randy Couture, okay? And it was one of the worst beatings I've ever seen. And I'm like, first of all, when we look at women are pretty, women are this, women are that. So it's just, as a man, you can't help to have that side of you, where you don't want to see a woman get beat down, right? And on the other side of that is I honestly never thought that women would be as technical as they are today. I didn't even see that coming. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, our 115-pound champion, she's a killer. She's an absolute vicious killer. So badass. And then out of the octagon, she's one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. Competitive, nasty. She's fighting here in New York. She's going to be on that card. So, I didn't see that coming. And now, I mean, I'm all in. With
you
women
have
fighting.
to be. I didn't give a shit about UFC. And then when all my boys are all about it, I remember when I first heard about Ronda, I was like, what? I needed to see it. And I know at that fight that we were all watching it on TV, the amount of women that showed up just to be there to cheer, to have somebody to fight for them was incredible.
And that was the question. You just answered the answer that you said. Whoever asked that a long time ago, she's right. Ronda opened the floodgates. Not just other female athletes were showing up. female actresses and you know, Demi Lovato and
Right.
and the list goes on and on of these women that came out to support women. Pretty cool.
And Lauren, maybe you could speak to this. Is there something to the component that Ronda's also fucking hot, right? And she's badass all at the same time. I think there's something in there, right? Or
Well,
no?
it could be because like he said at the beginning, he's like, as a man, I look at women like, oh, they're beautiful. I don't really want to see a woman.
But
get
I mean,
beat
for
down.
even for other women, you show up to watch a fight, and both the women in there look like Randy Couture, and you know,
It might have a different
You
effect.
guys may not feel as connected, or does it feel as beautiful? I don't know.
No. But the thing about Ronda was that she could play both sides. You know what I mean? As a woman, like when you look at her, like when I see her in like movies and stuff, and then when you see her on the covers, where she looks gorgeous. But at the end, I bet you she was underestimated her whole life. She comes in and she's a beast. And I think that's what we celebrate because a lot of times that's what happens with a lot of women. They look at you like delicate and that you're not capable of doing X, Y, and Z.
Let me tell you what. I'm going to tell you there's this thing with the human psyche, and it's absolutely real and dead on. When you have somebody who looks like you, talks like you talk, and comes from where you come from, and they're one of the baddest people in the world, you rally around that, you know? Look at Manny Pacquiao.
Yep.
Look at Conor McGregor, you know? Ronda Rousey with women. And you look at all the different studs from different parts around the world.
It's always
just a
true.
fact. It's true.
Are you still in contact with Vince McMahon ever?
Yeah. I still talk to Vince.
What do you guys talk about when you talk to Vince?
Nothing but business.
Really?
No, he's not a shoot the shit kind of guy.
Yeah, not at all. But you
No.
kind of seem like you can be, even as busy as you are. You kind of can be a shoot the shit kind of guy. No.
Yeah, I can shoot the shit.
But
Vince isn't that guy.
he gets right to it.
Oh yeah, Vince is all business. You know, I got a lot of respect for Vince. If you look at a guy, I'll tell you what. You know, after this deal was done, Rob Dyrdek called me up and he says to me, "I got to ask you a question. How do you keep running the race when you already won the race?" He goes, "I want to know how you strap your shoes on every day and go to work after doing this deal. It's just fascinating to me." And I told him, I said, well, number one, I love what I do. And I couldn't even imagine retiring at my age. You know what I mean? And the people, if you're looking for what they call fuck you money, you're in the wrong job. You know, it's just like you don't like your job if that's all you think about. It was never about the money for me. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be in the fight game. And Vince, think about Vince and all he's accomplished. And as big as his company's, you know, he's public, he could cash out. There's so many things that guy could do. That guy wants to get up every morning and kick ass, even at his age. And you know, you don't see Vince retiring and taking off and, you know, buying a boat and you know, he's an animal. I respect that.
And you guys have managed now to have, somewhat surprisingly, I would say, you guys are both have big egos, and at some points you are a competitive business. Yet you've managed to work together repeatedly, and you're probably not done working together. I mean, do you guys specifically negotiate the Brock deals yourselves? Is it you and Vince who talk those things through?
Well, last time with the Brock deal, I worked with Stephanie and Triple H.
And sometimes Vince directly. Do you think there's a chance?
Yeah. No, I've talked to Vince a lot. Let me tell you what, like I said, Vince isn't a shoot the shit kind of guy. He's not and he's always been kind of standoffish with us.
He wanted to fight you at some point.
Oh, yeah, he wanted to fight me. He wanted me to come in. He said, "I'll fight you either in the WWE or we'll do it in the UFC." Vince is 70-something years old. Okay,
This is 20 years. What, 20 years?
And
25
be
years?
honest with me right now, in the back of your mind, you at first was like, "What the fuck?" Then secondly, you was like, "Yo, he might kick my ass."
No, I started laughing. I said, "He's
time
crazy,
out,
man."
time
If I
out.
start, no disrespect to him. I just told you guys I respect him immensely. Listen, if I can't beat a 70-something-year-old dude, I don't care how big you are, how whatever you are. I'm 47, okay? And I don't feel like I felt when I was 37. So I can imagine how I'm going to feel when I'm 70-something. You know, Vince,
But for a 70-year-old man to fix his lips to say he will kick your ass, you have to take it serious.
he's an animal.
That's what I'm saying.
He's an animal, man.
You don't want that problem.
I respect it. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. If you get your ass whooped by a
Well, what's the
70-something,
No, if you gotta work to finish it.
Exactly.
You gotta
If you
work.
gotta go 5 rounds, they're gonna win or lose. You lost.
no, but that's his mindset. That's the type of guy that guy is.
You think you'll have to make a deal one day for Conor over there?
I don't know, man. The thing is about Conor is Conor is all about fighting, man. He's the real deal.
How good, by the way. I say, God, he's jacked. Even just a light tricep
Oh my
touch,
God,
he's jacked.
those are-
Sorry.
Yo, chill out, man.
Sorry. I was getting excited.
Yeah, man.
I was watching that night
Touching the guests.
in Brooklyn.
Touch the merchandise.
It was a WWE weekend, so I watched NXT, and then everyone goes to a bar in Brooklyn to watch the Conor Diaz Part 2. And I'm very hyperbolic, but I enjoy it about UFC because I still believe we are relatively in the early days, right? So it's interesting to me to be a fan of a sport in the early days of that sport. And I said, to me, just like I said, Ronda was the first star, I believe Diaz McGregor 2 was the first cultural classic of
Right.
UFC.
You're right.
When you were watching, were you like, holy shit, this is
Yes.
Hagler Hearns. It was fucking amazing.
Isn't it crazy watching in a bar too? I mean, listen, I sit in the best seat for the best fights in the world, right? I want to go to a bar. Everybody tells me what it's like going to
fucking
bars to
so
watch
fun.
the UFC.
It's
It said
it.
everybody's going crazy.
Oh, they were
and
going
fucking
Yeah.
nuts for this fight. Were you, even by your standards, did you know that it would be that good?
Yes. I was watching it unfold in front of me, man. It was the perfect fight. I mean, the problem is when you do these mega fights most of the time, all this hype and everything else. Look, Mayweather Pacquiao sucked.
What? That's an understatement.
The worst thing than the fight was that I bought 10 tickets to that thing. Okay, that was worse than actually the fight. It was
Imagine the regular people who bought pay-per-view for that bullshit.
right.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
true.
you're disrespecting the fans when you do bullshit.
So true. And listen, it hurt the sport. It hurt boxing, man.
It did.
That one really hurt. And so normally, you have all this hype and all this buildup. Man, that thing lived up to every ounce of hype, and it was awesome.
Did you hope to get the next one in New York? Did you think there was a chance you would get 3, or are they going to get away from it?
You can't do 3. Here's the thing, okay? So Conor McGregor is this guy where if a fight falls out, this guy will step up. He doesn't give a shit, man. He's legitimately that guy. I've been on the phone and I've stood in the living room many times and looked guys in the face when their opponent pulls out. Nobody faces that adversity the way that Conor McGregor does. It's awesome, and it makes me respect him very much. So that's why I give this guy way more rope than I give anybody else.
I was going to take you into this conversation.
Oh,
but
I
we'll
do.
come back
It's
to that
a
in minute.
fact. I do.
'Cause I
admit
felt
it.
like he kind of disrespected the boss a couple of times. I want to know what the boss
Hey,
has to say
listen,
about
Conor can say whatever the hell he wants to, man. The guy steps up on 4 days' notice.
All right.
He can tell you whatever
and
he
he delivers
wants.
the buys too. I mean, he's a big part of that.
Listen, he's awesome, man. At the end of the day, it's not about whether you did. We're in a fight game, man.
That's right.
Who really wants to fight? That dude wants to fight. I promise you. So he ends up saying, "Let's do this Nate Diaz thing." Dude, he's 2 weight classes heavier than you, and he doesn't care. So we do the fight. Conor has to try to weigh 168, right? When they're weighing in at 170. The night of the fight, Diaz comes in at 190, right? Now, Conor McGregor is a 45, 55-pound guy. And if you look at the wars he's had with Diaz, you can only have so many of those wars in your career, man. And it doesn't make sense. That's why we have weight classes. It ended up being an amazing fight, but you don't want to keep doing that.
So, but there will be one more though, right?
I don't know.
How, come on, we can't leave. Can you even leave us? You can't leave it 1-1.
1-1's good, man. I mean, they shouldn't have fought in the first place. You know what I mean?
I know, but like for this to be part of lore, the public will eventually force the hand on this fight. I don't care what you say.
We'll
This
see what
has to
happens.
happen, and we
You
will
don't
see it.
believe him because he's already lied to you one
Well, no,
time. Boldface
He's a
lied to you
gamer.
one time.
Yeah, boldface. He's a gamer. This is what he does. Now let's try you on the other toughest issue of the day. And I know you've been getting this for a year, but here we are, just 6 weeks out, and your friend and someone you've done business with, maybe friends a little extra, could be president of the United States.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're a Trump guy.
Yeah.
He is. You said your support for Trump. When I talked to you the first time, I got a sense that I didn't think you were truly enthused by his politics, but that you were supporting your friend. Since then, he has said some crazy shit. There's a lot of shit that's gone on. Where do you stand right now, 6 weeks out?
Yeah, I'm a Trump guy. Dude, I spoke at the Republican National Convention. I mean, I don't think
guess
you
you're
could,
right.
you
I guess
could
you're
be
right.
any
You're a
bigger of a
Trump guy.
supporter than that. You know, I don't believe in everything that Trump believes, and I definitely don't believe in everything that Hillary believes. I mean, at any time, I'm one of these guys. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm always for who I believe is the best man or a woman. And I have a long history with Trump. I have a very good relationship with him. Which is even weird, is even more so now. The guy calls me all the time. And, you know, he's never been anything but solid with me. And the Trump that I know, sitting back here backstage without the cameras on, if that guy would come out
that's what I was just about to ask you.
That's the thing.
There are things that there's a part, the reason I won't vote for him is because I don't like to feel like you're going to just do your reality show shtick as you're running for the highest office in our land. I think I take our country too serious, right?
Right.
Or not too serious, but very serious.
No, yeah.
That's
and my expectation, whether I like politicians or not, is that
a certain level of decorum.
That you got to have, if you're going to be a world leader, not an entertainer, right? Like, I don't want rappers running for president either. I'm not like one of these Kanye 2020 guys either. Like, I'm not that either. Like, this is real shit we're talking about. That's the part I don't like. I feel like you're toying with something that is very fragile, yet very, very important, and a representation of all of us. And I'm not really for the. I don't know Trump personally, but I feel like you're doing clown shit when you're up there. Like, you're playing around.
Have you said that to him? Have you ever said, like, why don't I see the version of you that I know?
I say it all. I mean, I literally, a month ago, maybe it was a few weeks ago, a month ago, he was in Vegas, and I brought my partners over there, Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta, who just got out on the sale, and we went over and we met with them. And when we left, Frank Fertitta was like, wow, that guy is, I mean, it's a completely different guy. It's a completely different guy when you're one-on-one with him, you know, and no cameras and no people around. Super intelligent, you know, very, very good guy. You know, Trump's, you know, it's funny. I went to dinner with Chris Weidman last night, and we were talking about all this stuff. I don't know if there's ever been, you know, a political race that has people more angry.
It's polarizing. It's polarizing, 100%.
On both sides, just completely angry.
Well, I'll say this.
It's going to be crazy.
I'll say
election.
this. Obama was such a cool dude.
Yep.
Like, all the way around cool dude. Whether you're a Republican, Democrat, you knew this guy's a cool character.
Right.
Like, people love him, right?
Sure.
Wherever you are. To come out of that, our political gamesmanship, whoever crafts this stuff, they needed something like this. Because following the Obama movement...
Yeah, Obama kept it very level. He made it even hard for people who hated him to have too strong emotion about him.
Well, I mean...
This is not that.
His second term, when he got reelected, so many people hated Obama in the second term. He still won. Didn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still won.
As a big businessman, right? Like, you're doing big business out here. Your support for Trump obviously has some of your own self-interest in it, yes? Like, you, not in a, like, you're going to get tax breaks or anything like that, but in the sense of, like, you as running a corporation, you see something in supporting him that's going to allow you to provide more jobs?
It really does. I'm not that corporate guy that's looking at the election, like, because if I really look at it, obviously I'm all about capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely about building businesses,
free enterprise,
yeah, absolutely, all that stuff. But on the flip side, I'm also, you know, I would call myself very democratic and hey, let's save the planet. Let's stop. You know,
fiscally conservative, socially liberal.
Exactly.
Which is, I think, most of us.
But then don't some of the so that's why some of the socially not remotely liberal things he said have to get you the deportation, the wall. Like, there's some things that are batshit.
He's not going to build a wall. I mean, he's not going to. And I think if he came out and said it the way that what he really means by that is saying, let's not bring anybody into the United States. Put them through Ellis Island the way that everybody came in. They get their papers. They have.
But then why not do that? Why not just say that? Why do you have to be? Why say we're going to build a fucking wall and they're going to pay for it? It's an impossible and insane thing to say. And frankly, the thing that bothers me, Dana, is that it creates a language and conversation around different groups of people that makes me uncomfortable.
I agree.
It creates some ethnic divide and as you can tell, we are in such a fragile place ethnically in this country right now.
So true.
That's the thing that frees. And I wish, frankly, I really wish the country would be a better place if this Trump that you're talking about was someone who we saw on our television.
I agree 100%.
Well, because then it brings out the other batshit crazy fucks.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
Who come out talking crazy shit, and you're like, no.
This is not okay.
No, we don't need everyone doing that. That's not good.
Are you going to watch the debate tonight?
It's true, and I'm doing work all day today.
I'm sure
so
you
no.
are. Heavy promo.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Dana. Let me let you off the hook here. Say you support Trump.
Yeah.
When you walk in and fill out your ballot, just put it in there for Hillary.
Right.
You're doing the right thing. You know what to do here.
That's the other thing.
what to do.
See, now most people don't have the balls to say that they're going to vote for Trump. You know, I've been saying it since day one. Right. You know, and obviously, you know, like I said, it's very heated. How many people will say they won't, but then we'll get in that booth and do it?
That's the worrisome part. That's why you think Hillary needs a sizable lead before that happens. Although there will be some on the flip side, Republicans who don't want to admit that they'd vote for Hillary because the Clintons have such a stigma among Republicans who won't be able to pull the level.
Well, that last name.
And the big problem is that anybody who says, you know, hey, listen, I'm for Trump is looked at as the racist or, you know, it just. But
well, that's the problem with the candidate who says racist shit.
Right.
That's why I know. Listen, that's why people say to me, "You're voting for Hillary. She's a crook." I'm like, all right. She might be. She might be. I'm not sure, but I'm more comfortable with that than racist. It's just my picking my poison. That's the poison I'm, comfortable with.
You're absolutely sure she's a crook.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
but
you're
she's
pretty sure.
She's a professional politician.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure anybody that does this for a lifetime has done some shady shit.
100%.
Just like I'm positive that somebody who's made $1 gazillion going bankrupt and re-upping and getting loans and losing people's money and starting shit that fell apart, he's also a crook. Right? Like, I'm confident.
Yeah. Well, he's the kind of crook that does it by the rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay,
There's rules
enough.
that you can follow, that you can walk up and down Wall Street. You know what I mean?
Crooks all
Listen,
over
I'm
the place.
dealing with Wall Street right now. And I ain't saying that but, those guys.
It's business in America.
It is. It's business in America. That's
Listen,
exactly
you're one
right.
of very few people that I can say is voting for Trump, and I still like you. You're a charming individual, and you have and this business that you're doing is fantastic for sports. I mean, as a sports fan, for me, boxing is, like you, Tyson guy, all through and through. Boxing has suffered so much. Love pro wrestling, but of course, I want real competition, and you guys do this just fantastic job with the competition, and then some of the pageantry that I think you probably learned from Vince, and that product that has there. It's an amazing product right now. What you guys are doing is fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm excited for New York. It's going to be a big deal.
Dana White, ladies and gentlemen. Dana, before we let you go, as UFC grows and becomes more household and more, and it happened. We watched it happen with the WWF becoming the WWE, and what we see today on television, which is they put up a great product, right? How much of the product and the marketing and things go into each creation of each and every fight? Like, because as it gets bigger, right, it becomes more family, and you're trying to get more and more families involved, and then things get watered down, and us fans that like a real good fight, sometimes you have to, when you got to tone it down. You water it down a little bit more for Fox. You do certain things to make it more mainstream.
You can't water this down. This is what it is. I mean, we had a fight Saturday night on Fox, and I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was down in
Cyborg card?
Yeah. The kid Felder.
I didn't see it.
Got hit with an elbow.
I didn't see it. Can't water that down. A knee to the face, you can't really water down either.
You can't water. Who's got? Will you pull it up? Pull up my Instagram so I can show these guys.
And it's on your Instagram.
Yeah, at Dana White on my Instagram. Yeah, that's how watered down we are.
Right. Is that you posted on your own? Yeah. You're like, you couldn't see Roger Goodell be like, yo, y'all see the hit on Sunday?
It's crazy, man. It's one of the nastiest cuts I've ever seen. He got hit with an elbow. He basically doesn't have an eyebrow.
Real quick, give us the card for the UFC. It's 205 here, right? Give us the card for Madison.
205, yeah. We got Tyron Woodley versus Wonderboy for the title. We got Joanna Jędrzejczyk defending her. The cool thing about this is the fight with Karolina and Joanna. They're both from Poland, right? And there's actually this big martial arts group out of Poland, and this girl Karolina was the champion there. Joanna Jędrzejczyk came over here and became the UFC champ, and she said because this event is in Poland, she's like, everybody thinks she's the she's the best fighter in the world. She said, I want you to get this bitch this is what she said to me verbatim. I want you to get this bitch in the UFC. She goes, because I think she'll do well here. And I'm going to whoop her ass, and I want the whole world.
Invite her in so I can fuck her up real quick.
Exactly. And she goes, and especially, I want everybody in Poland to know who the best female fighter in the world is.
Oh, so you're also...
She's a gangster.
And they're going to be... there's going to be so many Polish people here in New York. There'll be quite a contingent. All right, so keep going.
She's a gangster. So we...
Those two, Woodley...
Yep, we got Woodley. We got Frankie Edgar, who was from Jersey, against... Jeremy Stevens.
All right, Jeremy
Stevens.
Yeah.
So Frankie Edgar from Jersey, Jeremy
taking
Stevens.
on Jeremy. That's
okay.
a nasty fight.
All right.
Yeah, I should have had the card.
It's all good. Now Misha's on the card.
Because we're still building it. Misha Tate will be fighting Raquel Pennington, who's on a 4-fight win streak. And listen, we're coming to the Garden for the first time. We're gonna blow it out.
Deal.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big.
So about
big
those
deal.
tickets that everybody requests all the time. So me and the team, right?
Yeah.
We're moving through.
Listen, I'd love to have you guys down there, man.
We'll be there. We'll be there for sure.
Even if we're in the rafters, we'll be there. Don't worry about it. I'll be at the bar. It'll be fine. We'll be there.
Looking forward to it.
Bones Jones, who's had some serious ups and downs in his career. Where's the relationship right now for Bones and you guys?
Yeah, he's in a weird place right now. He's got to get in front of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and we'll see what they end up ruling on him, and we'll go from there.
That was really out of your hands, right?
Yeah.
At this point, right?
Yep.
Wow, that sucks, man. That guy was so promising, right? And
Probably the greatest to ever do it.
Have you ever?
wow, really?
Yeah.
Just on promise.
Probably the greatest talent ever in the UFC.
Do you think he got? It was too much too soon? It was
Yeah.
one of those scenarios
definitely-
as a young man.
He definitely went
pressure.
through that. Not even the pressure, the money, and it's all the things that it's the classic tragic story that you see in all sports. Young guy, good-looking guy, talented guy, who ends up making a ton of money and just making a lot of wrong.
Last thing I gotta ask you.
We had a lot of last things.
There's a lot of
you
last
can see
things.
we're pretty excited, and we know you're not coming back because we kept you for an hour. So you're gonna be like, wait, what? I'm not
I'll
going to those guys
definitely
again.
be back.
There was a time when not just in UFC but throughout MMA there were issues with domestic violence. This is now an issue in all sports, not just UFC by any means. Have you thought about you being the honcho, implementing one set rule that you have, or do you just have to have it be case by case?
Yeah,
when you deal with these
you
things?
go on a case by case situation. So what we do is when there's allegations made, and it's only happened a couple times. If you look at all the athletes we've had over the last 60, we have 500 guys under contract now. And it's only happened a few times. But when it does, we do an independent investigation. We have another group that comes in and does the investigation, and we rule after we get all the facts.
And so does that literally come down to maybe a situation where they break down for you in their best estimation what happened, and you deciding whether it was something that blew up and got out of control and was unfortunate and won't happen again, or someone who's just a goddamn psychopath abuser?
Right. So the investigators go out. They talk to everybody. They talk to him. They talk to her. They talk to the families. They talk to witnesses that might have been there. The list goes on, and they come back to us with an assessment that this guy is a possible abuser, or this didn't even happen at all.
Either didn't happen, right.
Because we had a situation where it didn't happen at all.
Of course.
It was what somebody had said about him to hurt him.
Right. And every blue moon, of course, there's going to be a possibility because of the business they're in, and that someone trying to hurt them will know people would believe it's plausible if you're a fighter, which is unfortunate.
So if we even think that he's a possible abuser, we put him on suspension, and they have to go take classes.
Very good. All right, I was just curious about that.
What's the UFC number at Garden?
205.
UFC 205, Madison Square Garden. Tickets available now. Is this
Friday? Tickets for sale Friday.
For sale Friday. They usually, UFC at the Garden. I can't imagine.
Yeah, this is not. They'll be gone Friday as well.
I hope so.
They'll be on sale at 9 a.m. They'll be gone at 9:05. All right. Dana White, man.
Thank
Great
you,
to talk to you, sir.
Thanks for having me. I
Congratulations
appreciate
on all
it.
your success.
Thank you, sir.